States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Director Lopez, roll call.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Bolin,
Present.
Commissioner Peterson,
Present.
Commissioner Bacon,
Present.
Commissioner Duran,
Present.
Commissioner Metcalf,
Present.
and Commissioner Federico. She was detained. She called us and said she couldn't be here. She had a last-minute thing that came up. And then Chairman Halby.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Okay. Do we approve the minutes from last meeting before taking care of the old business?
Chairman Halby, yeah, we would want to approve both sets of minutes, provided
Yes.
Vice Chair Peterson did point out that there is a typo in the first paragraph, leaving the H off of her name, and I will make that correction prior to and update the posting.
Chairman Halby, I move that we accept both sets of minutes as provided with the changes necessary.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. On to old business. This is some old business I have, so at this point I'll recuse myself.
Okay, so Cool PZ 20-07-25, a conditional use permit application submitted by Ray Halby for a manufactured home in the Agricultural AG zoning district located at 1651 East Bird Avenue, east of Nofziger Road in Coolidge, AZ, APN 209-22-012E, Resolution 20-04. So, is there any discussion?
I do, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
I have been looking through all of the paperwork that was provided to us, and I think we need to make some stipulations on the conditional use permit that certain size of the house needs to be and the finished construction of the property needs to be, so that it will be in like or similar to what exists in the area already. Last month we had a large number of people, in fact I think every neighbor in the area was vehemently against us approving anything on that property. But I would like to suggest that we make a stipulation that the house be of a certain square footage. It appears from one of the flyers that we have that all the houses in the area are at least 2,000 square feet, except for one that is a older place at 1957, but all the houses that have been built recently are 2,000, 2,100, 2,200. I think we should make a recommendation that nothing smaller than 2,000 square feet be able to be placed on that property, and that that property should be stuccoed rather than a other siding. And so a manufactured home, if that's the desire of the owner, of 2,000 square feet minimum with stucco siding installed on it prior to occupancy, be a condition of the conditional use permit.
Is there any other discussion?
Can I reply? Do I need to step to the podium?
Yes.
We're done with the public hearing.
There is
he's
no
the
public
applicant.
hearing.
Yeah, he's the applicant. So yes, you can.
Yeah, that's right.
Council, I'm the applicant, and although a 2,000 square foot home would be nice, this is a retirement home for my wife and I. I've raised my children. My children are in their 40s. I have grandchildren now. I don't need a 2,000 square foot house. As a matter of fact, we look at this map here. I used to own this big property. It was a 4,000 square foot home, beautiful home. My kids moved out. It was my wife and I. I had 2 houses on there. I moved my in-laws in. I didn't need all that room. So I'm telling you, I don't need all that room. To restrict me to a certain amount of square footage would be inconducive to what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is build a small house for my wife and I that as we get older, we can maintain. And I don't want to be limited to the kind of house that you want. I've picked out a house. I provided that in the packet. The exact house that I'm purchasing is in that packet. It's called the Neely. Now, I've tried to put this same building on another property about 1.5 miles down the road on a piece of property that we own. And the city wanted to take 1.5 acres of my 3 acres as easement. I couldn't put it there. So my plans changed to put it here. I ask you, please don't restrict my square footage.
How many square feet is the Neely? I see something circled that called it Jomax or Yomax.
I believe it's 1,200 square foot. And Ken, if I was to pull a building permit, which you know I'm a builder, I could pull a building permit and build a 900 square foot home, stick-built home on that lot, and you couldn't say nothing about it. So to restrict me to 2,000 square foot is wrong.
Al, Matt, do you guys have any thoughts?
All right. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, or Vice Chairman, I move that we approve Pool PZ 200725.
Do I have a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
All right.
You're the tiebreaker.
Nay.
So the motion fails.
Motion fails.
Madam Chair, you can discuss further, or you can make a motion to deny.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny Cool PZ 20-07-25.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It passes.
Didn't see opposed.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. Motion carried.
Motion carried.
Madam Chair, you can give the chair back to
Oh,
Chairman Helby.
How do I do that? Okay. I'll pass it back.
All right. On to new business. Tool PZ 200732, a conditional use permit application submitted by Charles Roy Mosley for a manufactured home in an ag zoning located on Gulf Lake Road between Central Ave and Burke Ave in Coolidge, Arizona. Parcel number 202-28021C, resolution 2005. Director Lopez?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Our applicant Charles Mosley would like to place a manufactured home on his property. The conditional use permit was applied for, and it requires it for a manufactured home within the agricultural zoning district. The property is 185 feet. It's up on the screen, by 470 foot deep, and it's about 2 acres in size, and it meets all the requirements of the application for a conditional use permit. Of course, your task is to find out whether it's compatible with surrounding land uses. So, and I believe the applicant's here. And also, Mr. Hanson, make a few comments.
Chairman Halby, as in developing this staff report, Commissioner Boland did some research and found that this particular parcel, which is this one, and these other 4 are bound by a deed restriction requiring a minimum of 1,800 square feet under roof, exclusive of storage, patio, porches. And while staff only enforce zoning code, it would be reasonable to be in line with these deed restrictions, and should the commission choose to include that in the motion, then it becomes a zoning item. Access is off of Ellison Road. You can see it on the west side of his property, shared by the other 4 parcels coming from Clemens to Central and south on Ellison. As Director Lopez stated, the applicant is here. Do you guys have questions? Staff report recommends approval.
Chairman Halby, I have some questions.
Please.
In going over this report, we just talked about the 1,800 square foot minimum, but on item 4.16, it talks about maintenance of a private street. As part of the CC&Rs for this property, it is required that the road be chip sealed. Now, there is on the west side an easement across the property. All 4 of those lots have an easement gaining ingress and egress from that property. There is not an easement on Gold Flake Road on this property. It may exist on the property at 3960, but it's not on this property. So I don't know, and I have a question for the city, or is Mr. Mosley going to be required to pave the property, or the road on that property, or is he going to be required to pave the road all the way across the 3 lots that he could go across? And East Central Avenue is a dirt road. It is an easement granted to the farm on the south, and it's maintained by the property at 3846, which happens to be a trucking company. So they are the ones that have been maintaining this road for the last about 14 years, to my knowledge, for their trucks to come in and out of. Although those trucks are not coming there very much anymore, they are selling that company out. It's not sold yet, and there's no idea of when they'll discontinue having trucks use that road. But who is going to pave, or is that road going to be required to be paved, even though it is in the CCRs? When he purchased the property, it was made clear to him, supposedly, that that road will have to be paved.
Chairman Halby, Commissioner Boland, the city has no obligation to enforce CC&Rs. We deal with the zoning code. When you move into a planned area development, you often have HOA rules. Those are not city responsibility. Now, some of the city zoning rules and city code overlap with what HOAs have dictated, and at that point, we have authority to do that. Right now, we don't have an obligation to do that. It's a civil matter between Mr. Mosley and the other 3 property owners. It would seem, in my opinion, unfair to make him pave the frontage of all 4 parcels without some kind of payback agreement, but again, that's a civil matter also. And I'm not sure what we gain by paving his frontage only.
What about, will he be required to put a cement driveway in on that property to his house? Or like as we do in other locations?
Curbs and gutters.
Commissioner Bolin, he will be required to have surface parking for 3 vehicles. One space is 10 foot by 18 feet, and you can configure that how you want. But the general development standard outlined in the agricultural area of the general plan and then the zoning of this district, we haven't historically required a driveway connection all the way to the road if it's not a paved road.
But he does have to have a paved or some kind of hard surface parking area for, did you say 10 by 18 feet?
For 3 vehicles, concrete, asphalt, or some kind of equivalent semi-impervious surface.
And that would be required before an occupancy would be issued for that property?
Commissioner Bolin, that's correct. And within the resolution itself, this would be covered under Section 3, the general conditions, item F, and Section 3, these 6 items are standard conditions applied to every conditional use permit, whether it be for a manufactured home, an auto repair shop, and so on. Conditions the commission chooses to add to this permit are enumerated in Section 2. Beyond the standard, no more than 3 years old at the time of installation, ground set, double wide equivalent, which go with all mobile homes. If a commissioner were to like to add additional conditions to this permit, that's where they would go. And that is at the commission's discretion.
Chairman Howey, I don't have any other questions yet, but I would like, once we do the open to the public, I'd like to hear what they have to say.
The applicant is also here.
Hannah, you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
No? Matt?
No.
All right. At this time, this is a public hearing. I'd like to open up Cool PZ 200732 to the public. If anybody'd like to speak on behalf, please step to the podium.
Chairman Halby, we have one person who has signed up to speak to this item, Mr. Justin Kempton.
I'm sorry, I wasn't assigned to speak. Am I allowed this?
Yes.
Please just come to the podium, state your name and address.
Okay. My name is Catherine Mull, and I live in Queen Creek, Arizona, but we own those other 3 parcels that are myself, my husband, my son-in-law, and my daughter. We all own the other 3 parcels. And we bought these over 10 years ago, and we were told at that time that manufactured homes weren't allowed on this property, and we were just kind of wondering why that has now been allowed. No other manufacturing homes are on these properties right now. And we had a friend that built that one house that's out there on Central and I want to say it's probably by Gove Lake and Central, and he actually built a home there, and he has pastures. Have you been out there to see the properties?
I've been out there many times. You say you own the two that are to the north
Three.
and the one
We
to
own
the south?
three.
I'm sorry?
To the southeast of that property I was just describing.
Can you point on the map?
Can you show me what
Please.
lots you're talking about? Oh, she owns those three there. Right. I know where you live.
My husband's out of town, and he wanted me to come tonight because we got this letter, and just to find out, what was going on. And we're just stating that this is an investment in this property that we might, in the future, put some homes on, like our friend did. And we were just wondering how that's going to affect the property value in that area. So that's all I wanted to state.
Okay.
Who told you that there would not be any mobile homes or manufactured homes on these lots?
That was just our knowledge when we bought the properties, that it'd have to be built homes, not manufactured homes.
Nobody physically told you?
No, they didn't. They didn't say that.
I did not research your three lots. I did research the four lots that are in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I know the owner of the first lot on the north end. I do not know the owner of the second lot or the fourth lot.
Mm-hmm.
There are nothing that I could find in the CC&Rs for that property, and I did a complete deed pre-title search for those properties to find out. There's no mention anywhere in there that limits the type of property built, only the size of the property.
Okay.
That was the only limitation that I could find. I was looking for whatever the limitations might be so that we did not step on the rules of what had been set up by the original deed restrictions. But as far as I could tell, and I could be wrong, I did the reports and had it redone by a title company, but that's what we found on the four lots in a vertical row there, that there was no deed restriction for either site built or manufactured. It could be whatever. The property to the north of that, where the trucking company is, has been there for a very long time.
Yeah,
that
it's
house
been
was
there a
built,
long time.
I believe back in the 30s or 40s.
But the house that was built that would be the southeast of that, it's a block home.
Yes.
And that was built probably 8 years ago, maybe. I'm sorry? 7 years ago. And that's a nice home, and I think it's over 2,000 square feet. 2650.
All right,
So,
thank you very much.
okay, thank you.
We live at the 3960, and we kind of just had the same kind of concerns as well. I live to the property just to the east of it, and there's no manufactured homes even within a mile or two of that area. It's all semi-custom, nice homes, and I'm just nervous that it's going to affect my value, that we've worked pretty hard on getting a nice property and building it up, and it's a really nice area, so we're just kind of concerned that if something just moves in, then it may hurt us in the future. So we kind of, same thing, we bought it as an investment. None of these properties, these are all side-built homes around here. I think the closest manufactured home might be Valley Farms, which is a little ways away. So we're just kind of nervous that it's going to hurt our value if we don't stand up and say something. So is there anything requiring like stucco or anything to match any of the homes around there?
We have an option of adding to the conditional use permit, as we had the option in the previous one, where we could possibly ask for that if the committee all agrees to put some limitations on that. But I No, at this point in time, no, there's nothing to state what he would have to do based on just the conditional use permit he's asked for, as far as I know. Is that correct, Mr. Henson? Is it correct that there is no limitations currently on a conditional use permit that we have in front of us?
Commissioner Boland, nothing beyond the standard limitations of age,
Okay,
double wide, ground set.
all right.
So just maybe take that into consideration. That it's nothing against Mr. Mosley or Manufactured Home. We just worked really hard to make this area pretty nice. And so I just would hate to see value go down or take a little away from my home. I've worked pretty hard on building fences and making it pretty nice. So
I know personally I've talked to Mr. Boland extensively about value when it comes to manufactured homes versus stick-built homes. And he can agree that when they comp a home, they're not going to comp a manufactured home when they comp your home. They're not going to comp a 2-bedroom home to a 4-bedroom home. They're not going to comp a 2,000 square foot to a 5,000 square foot home. It's just how they do that. Okay, so I would say to you that your property value is secure in what you've purchased.
it's came a long way since I've been there 6 years now. So it's a lot more than the value back then as well. So
Granted. And as the area increases in growth, you're going to see an increase in your dollar, in your investment.
I'd like to address the property owners that's supporting my property that I just purchased, and I could assure you that manufactured home do not deplete your value of your home. It can increase the value of your home because the modular home, once placed, has equal to better value than what the stick-built homes are. And I can be able to give you information where you can be able to conjure up and basically run the tallies together. But a manufactured home will not bring your property values down, ma'am, or your house value. If anything, it will increase it. Once you see my home in place, you'll see that it does not look like a stick home. I mean, stick-built home, or is a mobile home. Modular homes, that's a stigma that a lot of people have, that a modular home or stick-built home falls under the same umbrella as a mobile home. That stigma has been broken. I have information, if you wouldn't mind if I gave it to you, you could be able to read it and research it, find out that this is a great value for your property, not just mine. And I briefly talked to you, sir, and people got to realize that this town is growing and affordable housing is going to be needed. Manufactured modular homes are a path to the future. A lot of the large communities, senior communities in the Phoenix area, Valley area, are modular and manufactured home. And material is the same as a stick-built home. And I could be able to read off some short synopsis here I have between the two. On the appearance, a manufactured home is the same as a traditional built home. You can add any style of window, doors, wall, architectural features that you want. If you wanted to import an entire tile in your house, when your home, you could be able to have that placed in there. You could also end up having 2x4 or 2x6 framed homes. And I went with the higher value of the R19 to went with 2x6 framing for an exterior home to be able to increase not only my home value, but also the energy efficiency for the home.
Mr. Mosley, I have some questions for you.
Yes, sir.
How large a home do you intend to put on this property, or do you know that yet?
What's that again?
What is the size of the house you plan to put on this property, or do you know that yet?
The home that I have is a 2,386 square foot home.
Okay.
And that's the living space.
Thank you. And do you know what the exterior material is going to be on this home?
I know it's CDX, and I don't have the stats exactly what the material is, but it's the same exterior paneling that they use on stick-built homes. And it is 2x4 or 2x6 exterior walls, it increased the R value to 19. And I can maybe get the building stats to the homeowner so they can look at it, as well as the commission board if you want to getting more information on the exact.
Mr. Mosley, I am of a belief that a modular house, which is different than a manufactured home, that's two different items, but a modular house is built better and stronger than a site-built house is built. At the same time, I know that people in general, because I'm in the business of selling houses, look down at manufactured homes, and if a house is going to depreciate, a manufactured house will go down much faster than a site-built house. Whether it's realistic or whether it's reasonable, it doesn't matter. That's what will happen. Will the appraiser look at your house compared to his house? No, but the buyer will. The buyer of his house, when he goes to sell it, will look at the house next door and say, no, I don't want to buy that house at that price because I don't want to live next to a manufactured home. And so it's not a value that the appraiser determines, it's a value that the buyer puts on it. And the buyer is the king because they get the money. So when you go to sell your house, you want to have it the most. If you have a house that looks, for all intents and purposes, like a site-built house, and I can name a number of them that have been stuccoed on the outside that unless you knew what was there to start with, you would not realize till you walked in and realized that the ducting was under the floor rather than the overhead, that it was a manufactured home originally. So that's the reason for my questions. If the exterior looks like a common manufactured home looks, it is going to have a less appeal to the future buyers of the properties, whether it be that lady's land or that gentleman's house.
That it doesn't, sir. The exterior of the home looks the same as a stick-built home.
Okay. While most stick-built homes I'm seeing today have stucco in the exterior. They're not siding, they're stucco. In the East Coast, you may see them with siding, but in Arizona, everything I see being built, and they are literally building hundreds of them in Coolidge today, are all going to be stuccoed. Whether it's the best material or not, I don't know. It's what they're doing, and it's what they've been doing for 20 years.
I understand what you're saying, but once a modular or either a manufactured home, modular home is a little stronger built because of the way it will be placed on the property, but the manufactured home exterior is no different than what you would see on a stick-built home. The biggest difference between the manufactured home and stick-built home, if you look at it, is the gable of the roofing. But a lot of the newer manufactured homes they're building now, if they put them on the property, you couldn't tell it between a stick-built home or a modular home.
I'm well aware of that. I have seen stuccoed manufactured homes on properties, and it's very difficult to tell. And in fact, you can't tell again until you get inside that house, because by driving by, you won't be able to tell. I mean, there's lots of examples of that, but the ones that have inexpensive siding on them show up as obviously what they are. And so that is what I am trying to question and trying to protect the other homeowners.
The exterior framing of the house is same standards and building codes as a stick-built home. The material does not change. It's the same material that a stick-built home would be built with. They have in manufactured and modular homes.
Mr. Mosley, they're actually held to a higher standard. They're held to a HUD set standard, where stick-built homes are held to your local building inspectors.
Correct. And in 1976, the HUD code, federally mandated administrative code that exists, and is specifically developed and addressed the factory procedure process, the energy efficiency, transport of the home to the property of the homeowner. And the difference between the two, a stick-built home, the material is brought by truck, placed in the weather, and the weather plays a big factor on when that stick-built home can be built. The difference between a manufactured home, it's constructed inside of a factory out of the weather. The only time that the material is brought out to the open is when it's being transported to the home site and placed onto a permanent foundation. And that makes it the appearance. If this home was brought out and be placed onto the property before anybody ever seen it, if they drove down the road and looked at it, they would see it as a stick-built home. They wouldn't know the difference onto it unless someone told them about it, or they came in and said, and see what exactly it is on the outside. They'll find out that the building material is, in most cases, exceed what a stick-built home would be. Just like stick-built home, if they want an architect to come in and design it for them, they can. And the manufacturer builds your home to your specs, what you would like to see in your home. And I went, well, you have to kind of see what my home looked like. They would try to explain it. But I did end up taking consideration of my neighbors, their property in which it'd be sitting on, and really big concern because my investment is also going to increase in value while my neighbor's properties increase in value. And that is a big issue with me because I'm not the skeptical type of a mobile home, because mobile homes pretty much anymore doesn't exist. Manufactured homes are the way of the future. And you better get some beautiful homes from a manufactured home. I don't know what to do to be able to convince my property owners, my neighbors, except for I could be able to make arrangements and they could be able to go to the factory where they're built and you could take a tour and talk to the builders itself to ensure that your property values are safe and they're not going to deplete them. So I asked for the council to be able to make their decision and realize that we're starting a trend for a new generation of homes with all the factories we have coming in. It's going to be the most efficient way to be able to get people to move into our area knowing that they can be able to have a high quality home in a shorter amount of time.
I have no more questions for Mr. Mosley.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley.
Is there anybody else here to speak?
Yeah, does anybody else like to step to the podium to speak? All right, at this time, we'll close it to the public. I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve Cool PZ 20-07-32 and Resolution 20-05 as presented.
I'll second the motion.
I'd like to see some limitations put on that, please. Even though he's already told us it's going to be a 2,300 square foot house, I'd like to have the CC&R enforce that it is a minimum of 1,800 square feet so that in future cases that we have on the other properties around in that, we'll have some precedents that we have done that so that we have that in there. I'm still a little concerned about the exterior finish of this house not being compatible with the other houses in the area, but I'll let the committee decide that, but the size, I think the size matters. I mean, the house next to him is going to be, it's 2,600 square feet, I think you said? Okay, and his is going to be 2,300 square feet, so they're going to fit. The old house that's up there on the north side, that house is probably not more than probably 1,200 square feet, but it's also been there since there was anything in Coolidge, probably back in early days of Valley Farms even. Can we get that added to your motion? Would you like to do that, or will you do that?
Well, how does that work?
I'm about less government. I would like to not impose any limitations on the man.
Chairman Halby, a motion has been made in second, so you need to take a vote on the motion as made now. If it fails, another motion may be made, but there's one on the table.
And we have a second.
And you have a second, so
Yep.
Procedurally, it's time for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. next item on the agenda, Cool PZ 200733, a major site plan submitted by Woolbridge on behalf of Nikola for a manufacturing facility and related site improvements located at 680 East Hauser Road in Coolidge, Arizona. Parcel number 401-71001D. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as you know, Nikola Motors is an advanced startup manufacturing company that's building hybrid hydrogen electric powered semi-trucks, and their projected capital expenditure overall is over $1 billion. They're coming in and they've submitted a site plan proposing to build a 1.5 million square foot advanced manufacturing, and that's 1.5 million when it's all built out. This will be in phases as the site plan shows. We're very excited. This journey began back when the council, in their wisdom, adopted the Pinella Land Holdings Development Agreement back in 2015. And as of that time, they actually annexed that property in March of 2015 and then rezoned it to industrial in April of 2017. And that was Jakob Anderson and Matt McCormick. And then we were talking to Nikola in 2018, and on September 10th of 2018, the City Council approved an incentive agreement, economic development agreement with Nikola. And we met with them out at the site, and they drove out there when it was, I believe it was Tom Stringer, BDO, but more than other people looked at the site, and from there on we went forward and got to that point. So now we're at this very important point of the site plan review. We've issued at-risk grading and drainage permits to them, so they're out there moving dirt. And so at this point, we're bringing before you the site plan, and they have people here that will be speaking to you. We have Mark Duchesne, I believe, the head of global manufacturing, be speaking for Nikola. We have Wallbridge, SSOE, the architect, Hilgard Wilson, Daryl Wilson, who's the engineering firm, and I'm sure they'll present, and they're going to make a presentation to you on this. And Tim, do you have anything? Tim was instrumental in reviewing the team, looking at the site plan, working with Nikola, and Daryl Wilson to make sure we streamline everything. We're a business-friendly community. Work very hard to get them in, and work really hard to help them get to this point. So they've done all the real hard work, and Daryl has. So we're very happy they're here, Mr. Chairman. So that's my report.
Good. Welcome.
I have no questions.
You have no questions? None. Do you have questions, Al?
Nope. I just wish everybody could have been there to see the dirt fly.
Mr. Chairman, they do have a presentation if you'd like. Tim loaded it up.
Yes, let's see that. I have a couple questions, but they're small.
Absolutely.
Before?
No, please.
Good evening, everybody. As Gilbert said, thank you very much. I'm Mark Duchesne. I'm here representing Nikola tonight. I am the head of global manufacturing. So this is my new home that's going in.
Just hold it up so they can record you because you're being taped.
I love being recorded. I have a face for radio, so this will be great. I want to thank everybody. First of all, I am thrilled to be here. Absolutely thrilled. And on behalf of Trevor, our chairman, and Mark Russell, our CEO, we all couldn't be any happier than to be here talking to you tonight. First of all, I want to thank the council, the mayor, everybody who's been involved in this. I've built out a lot of factories and a lot of projects around the world where we've met with councils and cities that have said, we really strongly support you and we're going to make things work. And that was never the case. No matter how much the good intentions were, bureaucracy, difficulties always got in the way. I can truly say that I have never worked with a group like this group here. To be this supportive, to allow us to really try to get going quickly. We're not a conventional company, and I want to talk a little bit about that, and I'll do this very quickly because I know time's precious. This is a statement that our manufacturing team makes. We're a Nikola. We're a truck company, a power sports company, an energy company. We're not one specific business. We really are here to provide whatever the world needs that we think we can provide. I want to say that because we're building a factory right now to build trucks. But boy, we have big visions. So the future for us, we see it in Coolidge. The reason we have so much land and the reason we love working here is because we want to grow. And I can't tell you what that growth is going to be. I wish I could. I don't know what it is yet. If you followed the news this week, you know, we're growing. We have new partnerships forming this week. That seems to happen every couple of weeks with us. So I'm really excited to see what the future brings. But talking about the manufacturing, our manufacturing center is about enabling growth. We want to be able to make sure that we can grow our company, but we also want to make sure we can grow the community, and we can help the people that are with our company grow. And a lot of those people are going to be from this area. Again, as I said, wave runners and trucks, why not? Nobody else does it, but it doesn't bother us. We're going to do what makes sense. Making hydrogen and maybe a UTV, of course, that's easy. If it makes sense for us to do it in Coolidge, good business sense, good community sense, I'm going to fight to make sure that we can do that in Coolidge going forward. So I'm really looking forward to the growth, not only of what we have planned, but for what we don't have planned. For me, I'm a manufacturing guy. I've done this my whole career. The art of making things is really what I want to make Coolidge about. We're not just going to hire workers. We're going to hire artisans. We're going to hire people that are going to really take pride in what we're doing, take pride in where we're doing it, and really push to make sure that we can make this a hot spot on the map as far as building trucks. We talk about transforming the industry. These 4 things are our 4 company priorities. Driving forward, moving fast, working outward, and acting as owners. And I won't bother you with all that's underneath that, but if you take a look, there's a lot of points in there that touch on the community. We truly want to be an integral part of the community. We truly appreciate everything you've all done for us so far, and we really do appreciate the relationship that we have going forward. I think for me, that's my part. Once again, I want to thank you. I'm going to hand this over to Josh from Wallbridge. Wallbridge is our general contractor. They have a great deal of experience in this area. Josh was on this project long before I was. He's got a lot of time invested in Nicola, and we're really happy that we have somebody like Josh and Wallbridge's team who also want to make a stand in this community.
Thank you.
So if you could advance to the next slide. So good evening. My name is Josh Chrisman. I'm an executive director for Wallbridge. Wallbridge is a 104-year-old privately held construction company headquartered in Detroit, Michigan, but we have offices all over the United States, Mexico, Canada, and Brazil. So think about this. We've built automotive manufacturing plants, facilities on 5 different continents. And when we look at a project, there's some we have our owner, very important relationship, our subcontractors, our design partners. Our design partners, our SSOE is our engineer of record. Hilgar Wilson is our local Central Arizona civil engineer. And so that's that team. But I'm going to tell you it takes a lot more than that to pull off a job like this. You have to have the community engagement. You have to have the governmental partners. So City of Coolidge has been unbelievable, okay? And I'm going to tell you that because I second what Mark says about the engagement. You should all be very proud of your community. And I would definitely pitch that because there's going to be more manufacturing that comes to this region because of Nicola, Pinal County, and then the state of Arizona. So we just don't look at it from the standpoint of this is our team on the left. We look at it as we're all arm in arm working together, okay? It's very important to us. Next slide, please. So one of the things I want to talk about is what we like to do is we like to put the areas that we work, we like to put businesses to work, okay? Construction companies, companies that are suppliers that would supply things out on our construction projects. So what I want to do is just kind of walk through. And I know that this is public record, so I'd like anybody who gets this, this is, if you were to call our company, this is what we tell you. You have to go to our business opportunities are registered through wallbridge.com. Once you go to wallbridge.com, you click the subcontractor tab. From that point, you go to either subcontractor or vendor supplier tab, and you have to register to become a approved vendor in our vendor management system. Our bid opportunities will be released through a web portal called Building Connected, okay? And I bring this up, and we talk wherever we do projects, and we talk about this. The importance of this is because we want to have local inclusion. We want to have contractors and craftspeople working. But at the same time, it's very important to register. You will be, people can bid a project, but it's so important we can't pay, we can't write a PO, or we can't execute a subcontract unless somebody is set up in our vendor management system. So, next. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. It's been a great experience for me personally on behalf of the Wallbridge Company since working with Nicola since January of 2018. It's been phenomenal. Okay, there's a lot of work to do. We're looking forward to it. This team is ready to go. So I would open it up if you all have any questions. Mark and myself can yield those for you.
The only question I have is the lake. Where's the water come from? We live in the desert.
Daryl? John? Come on up. So it just so happens I have a civil engineer here.
I'm a watercraft enthusiast myself, but I got to travel a couple miles to the lake.
Yeah, understand.
Good evening. My name is Daryl Wilson with Hogart Wilson. Great question, and we're all sensitive to water issues in Pinal County in particular right now. So the source of that water effluent is not completely determined at this point, but we believe it will be a function of the relationship that we will have with our water provider, Global Water Resources, and part of the effluent recovery program and groundwater recharge facility opportunities. So that's still to be determined through the permitting process and the design process. So great question, and thanks for asking that. Stay tuned. We'll stay close with your staff as we learn more about exactly how we're going to implement.
So is that affluent from the manufacturing process?
No, it wouldn't be. It would be in the context of what we might do with Global. It would be along the lines of an exchange groundwater recharge in one location and withdrawal in another is one concept.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
That was really the only question I had.
Okay.
I love a lake in the desert, but I can't have one.
Gilbert Lopez, Rick Miller, Tim Hansen have my contact information. If anybody has any questions that you didn't think of tonight, you want to ask, feel free to give me a call anytime.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Gilbert, anything to add to this?
Just thank you, Ms. Chair. I just want to state this is really different than anything we've ever done before, but the team's been involved in large projects, including the city manager. So we really have to be able to be flexible with things as the construction and the design go forward. So the zoning code allows staff to make some minor changes, and Ms. Chair, as you know, we can make those changes, and you sign and I sign if there's a minor amendment to the site plan. So we want to make sure we're nimble in how we do this and look at this, so they can. This is a very large site, so parts of it. There'll be phases that'll go in first, and I know steel's being ordered pretty quick, and Stantec is ready to review the plan as soon as they hit there electronically, get sent to them. So we're all, as a team, working together to move this forward. So I just want you to know that we're committed to making sure that we're flexible and nimble, and this moves forward as fast as possible. because it's the kind of company they are. They're very innovative, and we're going to be there also to help them. So I just want to make that statement. Tim, do you have anything to?
Thank you, Director Lopez. Chairman Halby, and just to assure you guys, we're not just rubber stamping this through. We've reviewed this site plan against zoning code requirements, and they easily meet setbacks. They exceed parking requirements. They exceed landscaping requirements. They're 50 feet under their max building height. They've chosen to focus the majority of the aesthetic improvements along the Hauser Road, which you're going to see. The rest of the site's fenced. They'll do some revegetative cover there. And we've been working with them closely and Hilgart Wilson, and we feel like they've put together a real nice plan. As Director Lopez stated, there should not be any major changes to this. If there's anything major, it of course comes back to you, but things that are kind of up in the air are minor in nature. And so we recommend approval based on compliance with code or exceeding minimum standards of the code.
Right. Yeah, so they were surprisingly quick in getting everything to us, and we're very happy to see that. And I was frankly surprised how fast this was put together and how accurate it was. Because, Tim, we were looking at it along with the city manager and the team, and well, wow, everything's pretty much here that we need. So thank you for that. It helps us a lot.
Rick, our city manager.
Yes.
Before you get up there, Rick, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you for being you.
Oh, no,
You helped bring these guys here to us.
well, let me give the credit where the credit's due. The credit's due with our mayor and council, who had the vision to annex this property with Jakob Anderson, with Saint Holdings, which was formerly Pinal Land Holdings. We look at him as our economic development partner for this region. Without the mayor's vision and the council's vision, our mayor's here tonight, Mayor John Thompson. Without their vision, we wouldn't be here talking about this tonight. They negotiated a very good and a very attractive development agreement with Mr. Jakob Anderson. We were very pleased and just, I still pinch myself to have Nicola come in and say we want to be here in Coolidge, Arizona. The mayor and council negotiated with Tom Stringer and Britton Worthen with Nicola a good development agreement that provided some incentives. That's what we need to do as a community to compete for these projects. This project was looking at many states. We were selected as a finalist, and I can tell you I've been in my career for 40 years, and have never been more anxious and more engaged and more excited about a project in my 40-year career as this. It's kind of unfortunate we're not a big city with lots of people here that, celebrating and jumping up and down and doing a happy dance. But this is a great thing, and it's only the beginning, as they've said. There's many things that are going to follow this. In an economic corridor, an industrial corridor that will connect really the I-10 up 87 into Coolidge. And so, the potential of this area is tremendous. I'm at the end of my career as a city manager in government, and I couldn't think of a better project that I would like to go out on. I'm not saying that I'm retiring or doing anything soon, but I tell you what, it's been a real pleasure to work with our mayor and council, with the commission, with a great dedicated staff, and to be able to come in and have the conversation with these fantastic companies and with the designers and other people that are making this project a real project for our area. We really are the envy of the area right now, and we kind of this is our night to boast a little bit. It's kind of fun. So I'm happy for this company, for Nicola, for the advances that they've made in such a remarkable short period of time, and I know that with Mark DeShane here and with Walbridge, this thing will be coming up pretty quick. And really, this is our only night through this process that we have a public process for the community to see what it is that they have in mind. And as Gilbert said, this is a big project. And we expect that there will be modifications along the way as they find out, maybe better ways to lay things out. But in general, this is going to be generally the way the site will lay out. We will work with them relentlessly through this process. I'll be getting to know this man very, very well as our other staff on the things that they're going to need to do to bring this online, to be producing vehicles that will change the world. That's really what they're talking about. They're talking about producing vehicles here that are zero emission, hydrogen fuel cell, and battery electric vehicles that will change the world and change the way transportation is looked at. So it's pretty exciting to be a part of that history. Thank you.
It's like you said, it's the tip of the spear. You know, I've worked in manufacturing for about 35 years myself. And I know that with large companies come all their vendors. So soon that entire corridor will be full of vendors that are delivering directly to Nikola. And the potential is endless. Thank you.
Public comment? Ready for a motion?
I'm ready for a motion.
Look it up.
You haven't opened it to the public.
Oh, we haven't opened to the public. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to open this up to the public. If anybody from the public would like to get up and speak, please come to the podium, state your name and address. Okay, at this time, we'll close it from the public and we will entertain a motion. Al?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve Cool PZ 20-07-33 to change the world.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing jobs to our community.
Not just jobs, there's a lot of other things coming with it.
Okay. Next order of business. Cool PZ 200834. A rezoning application submitted by Pima Properties, number 54 LLC, for approximately 4.4 acres of land located west of Arizona Boulevard between Seago Avenue and Palo Verde Avenue in Coolidge, Arizona, changing the zoning from general business C3 to multifamily residential R4. A portion of parcel 204-140410.
Mr.
Lopez.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we're asking that this item be tabled until the next meeting so we can so it can be processed concurrently with a minor general plan amendment. So it's something that came up in the process, so we're asking that be tabled this time.
Okay.
I recluse myself from this vote.
I get a vote to table this till next month?
I move that we table this Cool PZ 20-08-34 until next month.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda, Cool PZ 200835, a major site plan submitted by Hanson Engineering on behalf of Tim Hunt for a private garage and related site improvements at 245 South 1st Street in Coolidge, Arizona, parcel number 205052000. Director Lopez.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the owner is proposing a 1,200 square foot private garage on about 0.32 acres. It's industrially zoned. It's right next to the railroad track, as you can see on the map. It's been a vacant site with brick on it and I think an old car at one point, so we're really happy to see this development happening, and I believe he may have some plans in the future to do some other things along the lines that what the zoning allows. So at this point, though, he's interested in doing some site improvements and then putting up a building, and so he submitted the site plan, and Mr. Hanson worked closely with him to develop this. We think it's a fair site plan that has some requirements, but also allows him in the future to maybe change a few things. Mr. Hanson, is that correct?
Director Lopez, Chairman Halby, Commissioners, he's initially proposing this 1,200 square foot building for private garage, almost a tinker shop. But the parking requirements specific to that district and that use still apply. The use is consistent both with the general plan and the zoning district. He's met his parking requirements. The parking area and travel lanes will be surfaced per section 1313 of the code, and the landscape required to be added along the street frontage of First Street and Roosevelt ought to really be a nice addition to the area. This is catty corner from the Pinal County Health Department. They just gave that property a major facelift. Looks a lot better in conjunction with the city's efforts downtown on Central and Main and Coolidge. This is just another project that's furthering the beautification of downtown in general. He has met all his zoning requirements. He has room to potentially expand in the future, and staff is recommending approval. I know Mr. Hunt's consultant is here. I'm not sure if Mr. Hunt is, the applicant is also here.
I don't have any questions.
Hal? No? Jill? Hannah?
I'm good.
All right. No questions? At this time, we'll open it to the public. Anybody from the public like to come to the podium and speak? Please do so. All right. We'll entertain a motion. Close to the public.
I move that we accept Cool PZ 20-08-35.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Beautiful. All right. Cool PZ 20-0836. Major site plan submitted by Sketch Architecture Company on behalf of Ron Broach for a restaurant and related site improvements at 1120 North Arizona Boulevard in Coolidge, Arizona. Parcel numbers 203-170210 and 203-170640. Director Lopez.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we're happy to have this major site plan submitted to you. This is a restaurant that's being considered for this corner. It's a very prominent corner. We have DS on one side. Up the street, we have a lot of activity, and Dairy Queen and some other things. The credit union that's been fixed up. So we're seeing a lot of activity. We work hard on the economic development side, and this really will help that corner, and also give us another place to go get an Impossible Burger for my wife, because she really likes those. So it'll be really good. This is a proposed Burger King is what we see. So the applicant, I believe, is here.
Yeah.
Yes, and so they can, if you'd like to hear some words from them on this, we've met with them and with all our team, engineering, planning, answered all their questions, and they were very good at putting this together. And so I know he's here if you have questions for him.
My name is Randy Carter. I represent Sketch Architecture Company, 2454 East Southern Avenue, Suite 110 in Mesa. We are proposing a Burger King at the corner of Key and Arizona. Tim, you can go ahead. Just we'll run through this quick because most of the stuff is in your packet that the staff has given to you. We have our site that is on the northwest corner. It is surrounded to the west with residential, and to the north is a liquor store. Could you go to the next one? We meet the 2025 general plan designation and the zoning code. C2 zoning was done sometime in the past. And our downtown core, you see we are in compliance with that. Go ahead, Tim. Some photographs. I'm sure you drive by this place all the time, but we will be demolishing the little building, cleaning it up. You'll notice that there's electric lines that run down the middle of it. Those will be put underground, and there's an easement there because there's also sewer and water
And an
underneath
alleyway,
those.
correct?
Excuse me?
There's also an alleyway there?
No alleyway that I know of.
Just an
Tim?
easement for the utilities that are there. And if there was an alley, we've done this before. We can abandon it and leave the easements in for the utilities, but there is no alleyway that we're aware of.
I used to live there.
Right, but on
Chairman Halby, the portion that traverses this site is strictly a utility easement. It's not for access purposes. The alley terminates at their north boundary.
Gotcha.
Right.
Thank you. Go ahead to the next one, Tim. Our site plan, which you saw previously, we have taken care to make sure that the citizens to the west and the residential have the proper 45-foot setback along those property lines per code. And the rest of it follows everything that the zoning code has. We are planning on maintaining the curb cut driveway along Arizona, and we'll be moving the driveway on the south and eliminating one of the additional ones where the old gas station used to be. We understand through our environmental investigation that the tanks have already been removed from the gas station, so it'll be a simple cleanup and move forward with construction on this. Go ahead, Tim. This is what the building is proposed to look like. This would be facing north. Next one. This is facing south along Vaki, and some interior shots of probable decor. It changes all the time, but it'll be essentially what this looks like. Our landscaping plan, we are in excess of the code. 2 extra trees and about 200 additional shrubs have been added to this to fill out the requirements of the code. Go ahead. I think that's our last one, Tim.
I would like to make a small correction to Randy. There are about 300 shrubs over what's required.
We may thin those out just a little bit.
Too late.
Do you have any questions for me?
I have no questions.
All right.
What's the proposed opening date?
ASAP. We are preparing the construction documents right now. As soon as we have city council approval, we're going in for permits.
Or the Planning and Zoning Commission approval. So.
Tim, standard lighting restrictions on the parking area?
Chairman Halby, Commissioners, any lighting, we don't have any lighting details yet, but any lighting on site has to comply with Chapter 19 of the City Code, regulating outdoor lighting, which is also mirrors Pinal County's dark sky ordinance. So essentially, any parking lot lighting is shielded down to be contained on site and not spill over into the adjacent residential neighborhood to the north and northwest.
We will need to do a photometric analysis, but that's the intent, is that no light leakage goes past the property lines.
I have a question. Will there be a left turn lane off Arizona into it? Or are you just going to be sitting out in Arizona to make a left turn into it?
On Arizona,
Mr. Bacon, there is
turn lane.
Arizona Boulevard at this point is 5 lanes. There's 2 northbound and southbound, and then the turn lane for left turn.
And this is all controlled by ADOT. So ADOT may have some comments, but at this point, we don't believe there may be anything additional from what's already there.
You can't do a left turn lane from people coming south because you've got a left turn lane from people coming from the north.
I would
On the Vaca.
reiterate what Director Lopez said. ADOT will likely require some kind of traffic analysis controlling access to the site. It is an existing curb cut. From a city standpoint, in the right-of-way that we have authority over, they're removing a driveway that's right around here and moving this one a little bit down farther from the intersection. So on our road, those are both positive things to decrease the possibility of instances. ADOT is, they have their different standards and rules. I don't know what they're going to say.
But at this time, at this point, it appears to me that you're going to have your northbound people will turn westbound on Vakayan Road and enter from the Vakayan Road entrance rather than attempting to enter on the north side of the property and crossing those 3 lanes of traffic, because you've got a turn lane there and 2 other lanes. So it would make sense to go the other way.
Me personally, if I was leaving the site and wanted to go north on Arizona Boulevard, I'm coming off in Vaki and hitting that light too, rather than wait. By the time that traffic clears north, you probably can't get out because it's backed up on Arizona. So the 2 points of access satisfies also fire requirements who have looked at and reviewed this plan for access, turn radiuses, and whatever else they look at.
Yeah, we had the engineering team and fire, everybody at our meeting when we met, discuss all the different portions of this, so they all had input into this design.
And both these parcels are already zoned properly for this? We're not rezoning anything. This is already C2?
They're C2.
Yep.
Commissioner Bowen, that's correct. At one point in time, the more westerly of the 2 parcels had a single-family residence on it, and it was zoned R1. That property was demolished. It might be in here. Some time ago. And at that point in time, the owner of both properties rezoned that one to C2. The applicants are in the process and have submitted a land combination application to the Pinal County's Assessor's Office to make it 1 parcel.
Okay, sounds great. That's all my questions.
All right. At this time, anybody else like to come up and speak?
You need to open the public hearing, actually.
Chair, if you want to open the public hearing. Yeah.
And
Okay. At
Chairman
this
Halby,
time, we'll open this to the public.
we have Ms. Jennifer Fox has signed up to speak.
Are you Jennifer?
There's Jennifer there.
Please come to the podium, ma'am. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Jennifer Fox, and I live at 599 West Vakayan Road. One question I have is, how late is this going to be open in the evening?
Typically, drive-throughs can be open 24 hours a day, although it's not planned on this particular facility to do that, but it might happen in the future. Generally, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock is closing time for the dining room, etc. But I can't tell. I'm not the owner of the property, so I'm not sure exactly what Burger King is going to tell the person who's doing the franchise there. But generally, that's the time periods that they're talking about.
My concern is that late at night, it may become a, quote, hangout, and we have a curfew and everything, but I just concern myself that maybe it'll have people there that'll be drawn to the area. But at the same time, like you said, it's well lit. You know, I don't have any problems with the lighting.
Your address was again, please,
599.
Okay, thank you.
Another question I had was, is there easements, the signs for the churches are on the corner? There's two signs. There's one for St. Michael's and there's one for the Lutheran Church. Will they be able to stay? Probably not.
Not if they're on their property.
And then, though, the other side of that is with the navigation systems everybody has, you really don't need the signs. You know, all you got to do is look on the internet on your phone, and there it is, you know. Those are really my only two concerns. Another question is this going to raise or lower my property values since I'm so close?
Do you like Burger King?
I love Burger King.
That's going to raise your property value.
It may raise my weight, okay, but my property values. But it seems likely that it would raise it.
City manager?
I love burgers, as you can tell. You know, as I look at this property, Jennifer, you know, this property used to be a, Jennifer, right? This property used to be a gas station. And if you look at what, I've been here since 2012, and it's been a weed-covered lot. We tried to make a little bit of a difference by putting in the rail and the gabion baskets and to kind of clean it up a little bit. As I look at this site plan and I look at this landscaping, it really does my heart good to see a business come in here and starting to put a lot of landscaping and beautification on these properties. It's unlike really any other property along the boulevard, and this kind of sets a standard that I think will really help the image of the community as they're coming down the main north-south boulevard in the community. I mean, Arizona Boulevard is the state highway. And that landscaping, I think, can only, enhance the appearance and the value of the area over what's there now. We're not here to predict, what happens to property values. They go up like crazy right now, but then they can really decline fast too for various reasons. A glut in housing. I don't think these house prices can keep going up like they have been. But I remember the crash. With the last big downturn in the. So, no one can really predict what the housing values are going to do. I'm sure they're going to go up and they're going to go down. That's what I know. But I do think that this site plan is a phenomenal look in terms of the landscaping and the appearance of this site. Now, I think there's been some good questions about ingress and egress. ADOT will have the complete control of that access out onto the boulevard. They're going to probably have a few questions, but I think we've done everything we can to minimize the impact of traffic coming in and out of the site, and actually have improved it over what was there previously.
That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. I had a lady way in the back. I don't think they knew they were supposed to register with you, Tim.
It's a work in progress.
We'll make it work.
My name is Rosita Kincaid, and
Pull that
I
down
live.
so we can hear you.
I live at 1132 North Mesquite Lane, and so I'm right here. Right up next to you, we're going to share a fence. And we were renters, and the church right next to us had torn down so much of the fence. And I'm telling my husband, who couldn't be here tonight, he is retired, disabled. He really can't even get out of bed. But I'm thinking maybe we should put a fence up, because that is not a parking lot. It looks like a parking lot, but and he wanted me to ask about if it's going to raise our property value also, because now we just recently bought the house from the church.
Well, it's definitely going to finish off that corner.
And it will have a fence.
And beautify that corner.
Okay.
And much to what the city manager alluded to is currently it's desert landscaping. And these gentlemen are going to come in and put in excess 300?
416.
416 plants,
Wow.
not including trees.
Oh, that will be nice.
So they'll make it beautiful for you.
Okay.
And a wall. There won't be a wall.
And there will be a wall.
Yeah.
Oh, there will be a wall?
Chairman
Is
Halby,
it
Commissioners,
expensive to put a
this-
wall up? Do you know?
this area here currently has a masonry block wall. And this side that fronts this lady's property is a wood fence, but code requires that to be a 6-foot masonry wall as part of these site improvements. And we've discussed this with Sketch Architecture. They're aware of this requirement, and once site work begins, they will coordinate with the property owner as needed. They conceivably could be built right next to each other, but that doesn't make a ton of sense. Sometimes it comes down to the agreement you came to. But that they will be required to put a 6-foot masonry wall on that side.
And I'm so glad I don't have to go to Florence to go to Burger King. Woohoo!
You don't even have to get in your car.
Just walk over.
Anybody else from the public like to speak? Okay, at this time, we'll close it to the public. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Cool PZ 20-08-36.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Reports from the director.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll be brief. You know, our housing is really taken off. We've got, as Mr. Boland can attest to, we've got, you know, Brisbane American, we've got D.R. Horton, we've got some subdivisions that are there that are coming online. Cross Creek's being worked on. We also have somebody looking at the village at Coolidge and bringing that back. That's just across the street from Coda Ranch. So they're looking and doing their due diligence on that. We were working on, there's a lift station in there, believe it or not, that has to be fixed. So all those things are being done and taken into consideration. So there's a lot of activity in the housing side of it. And if you noticed on Vacaen, the apartment complex, Casablanca is moving, and they're already on the 3rd floor of one of the buildings. And so once they get that first phase, and then hoping they'll start on the second one. I know we've had our other builder. He's building a 34 unit across Palo Verde, across from the transit facility, and most of his that he's completed is rented up before he's done. So there's a lot of need for the rental. And our senior housing is about 3/4 of the way done, about 80%. The one on Spruill and 4th, so those are moving forward.
I know my rent just went up 30%.
Oh wow, really? In Heartland? Wow. Yeah, I know some of them go up, and then we're still working with the partners like we work with Nicola. We work closely with Pinal County and the Arizona Commerce Authority. So we're seeing a lot of activity on that front too, where we're responding to a lot of project information forms, and so there's a lot of exciting things on the docket. We can't talk about it. Everybody gives me a hard time because we're under NDAs, a lot of these, and we can't. They're looking at different sites, so if we say something, they don't come here. So we're very careful. But staff, we all look at these and we work through them, and we put our best efforts to get them into Coolidge. So anyway, that's all I have at this point. Unless you have some questions.
Nope.
Okay. Tim.
All this Whopper talk has made me far too hungry to report anything.
Yeah, I'll be lined up. My wife sends me all the way to Casa Grande, Florence for an Impossible Burger. So
I go twice a week for lunch.
Yep. It'll be good.
All right.
Thank you all for all your hard work. Really appreciate it.
You know, I gotta tell you something. Everybody sitting back here and over there missed a real show at the groundbreaking.
Oh yeah, some of you made it. I know that was and the lightning storm that was coming right at us. So.
Oh yeah. It was really good.
Yeah.
I didn't get my invite till late.
Oh really? I apologize for that. We thought we got everybody on there, but
I never got one. So
really? Oh man, sorry. Yeah, it was real early and it was real fast because the lightning storm was coming right at us. So.
Everybody kept their
By the
speeches.
time I opened the email, it was a half hour ago.
Oh man. Sorry about that. Should have called you guys.
Yeah, that's exciting. They're bringing great things.
Yep.
With it comes a lot that, is not even realized yet. All the vendor support that comes with that.
I wondered when the man made the statement that in 6 months I'm going to roll trucks out of this building. And I thought, there's nothing but ground there. And he makes a statement, I'm going to roll trucks. I understand how he's going to roll trucks now because he's got hydrogen, he's got batteries, he's got undercarriages, he's got technology that he didn't have before. He's ready to roll trucks.
Well, that agreement that was put out with General Motors is huge.
Oh, yeah.
They have access to all the equipment. Yeah, the Badger, but they'll also have access to all the equipment and everything for these other trucks. As part of them are being assembled in Ulm, Germany, and shipped here, be finished here, and then roll out. So that's how they're going to speed that up.
First trucks is going to come from Germany, and
some of them are in Ulm, and then the smaller one, the tray. Yep.
All right.
That's all I have.
All right. Call to the public. If anybody from the public like to, wow.
The mayor.
The mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Thompson. I live at 1037 East Lauren Lane in Coolidge, Arizona. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys on the P&Z. I think you do a heck of a good job. I'm very proud of the job you do, and this is a tough board to be on, and you do excellent work. And I wanted to take an opportunity to come in and thank you. It was a very good night for the city of Coolidge, and in part because of what you do right here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Here.
thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll close it to the public, and I'll take a motion to adjourn. We can all go have a hamburger.
I move that we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go home, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, Ray, will you sign both of these?
Yeah.
And we were thinking of wearing